need the net? This thing's fighting me a little bit. Hey, welcome to Fire Island Catch and Cook. It is about 5:15 a.m. on Easter Sunday, and we are going out looking for striped bass. This channel is going to be fishing, hunting, and cooking. I'm sure over time this channel will develop into whatever the viewers are looking to see more of out of those three categories. So, been going out here on the Great South Bay for the past couple of weeks, scouting. There's definitely some holdover schoolies here right now, but I haven't seen any migratory stripers. I went out on opening day the other day and head to a couple spots that are a little east of where I am that there typically are schoolies, but there was nothing really happening over there. So today I'm going to head west a little bit and hope to get on some migratory stripers, get myself a nice keeper, and we're going to cook some Nashville hot striper sandwiches, which are absolutely delicious. So stay tuned. All right, fish on, baby. Do we need the net? This thing's fighting me a little bit. No sea lice. Inches. First keeper of the season. Let's see if we can get another one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to immediately bleed this fish out. So I'm going to cut the bloodlines in a bucket of water. I'm going to cut his gills. Sorry, buddy. Alright, so our first fish of the season's a keeper. She came in just at 28 inches, which I'm really excited about. I think it was a holdover. There was no sea lice on her, and I cast around for probably about 15-20 minutes after catching that fish, and I'm really not seeing anything else out here, so I think I got lucky with a holdover. Still waiting on those migratory fish. Once we see those sea lice, we know that they're here, but I couldn't be more stoked. I got the skunk off the boat. I got something to cook with. We're gonna make Nashville hot striper sandwiches. All right, I'll see everybody back at the dock. All right, so we got our fish. A slippery old guy right here. He bled out. One thing that I don't love about this particular fish is that it was not in ice water. So typically when the fish, you know, in ice, it's a little bit easier to cut the meat. I'm gonna start back here behind the gills, and I'm just gonna slice all the way up to the spinal cord here. And then I'm gonna run the knife across the back. I'm gonna use my finger. Oh, I can still feel this thing moving. Sorry, guy. Come out the other side over here. Just go all the way down. If I was going to be scaling the fish, I would do that right now while the fish is whole. It's a little bit easier to knock the scales off, but since we're making these sandwiches, I'm not interested in doing that. I'll put that off to the side. I'll flip the fish over. All right, we're gonna go in and do the exact same thing on this side. Up on an angle over here. And we're gonna work our way down his back here. There's a little crab that just came out. All right, and there's fillet number 2. So I'm going to first just cut as close to the skin as possible on this back end over here. Then I'm going to take my knife and make a little hole for my thumb to go in. All right, we're through. And I'm gonna hold on with my thumb. I'm just gonna use the skin, oh, I'm stuck here, to cut all the way through. There we have it. See minimal bloodline here. All right, and I'm going to use the knife and just let the skin work for me. There we go. All right, now I'm going to make these into smaller fillets that I can use to make the Nashville hot sandwiches. About there. Boom, there, boom. All right, so here are fillets, and we're gonna take these into the kitchen, and we're gonna turn these into Nashville hot striper sandwiches. So see you back in the kitchen. But let's get started. We're gonna do a salt brine, and the salt brine's really important. Pretty much it's gonna pull some of the moisture out of that fish, and be generous about it. You're not gonna make your fish taste too salty. We're gonna let this sit for a while. And some people will do like a milk bath before they do their fried chicken. I don't actually like doing that because what happens is it creates more moisture in the fish or the meat or the chicken or whatever we're using, and it creates steam between the coating inside. And then what I find happens when you fry it, the coating comes off. In this way, I wanna pull out some of that moisture. I wanna let it sit. It's gonna be anywhere from 1 to 4 hours. We're gonna let that sit. And then we're gonna coat it and fry it. So I'm actually just gonna stick this right in the fridge, and we're gonna let this sit while we do everything else. So while all of that is sitting in the fridge, I'm actually going to start making the comeback sauce. So we're gonna take a cup of mayo, a 1/4 cup of chili sauce. This chili sauce, just so everyone can see, I can't say the name, but it's a Vietnamese chili sauce, and it's an Asian chili sauce, and I highly recommend that. We're gonna use a 1/4 cup of ketchup, a 1/4 cup of olive oil, a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. We're going to use another teaspoon of onion powder, a teaspoon of garlic salt, 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire, do a teaspoon of black pepper, and then we are going to use 1 lemon full of juice because I don't want to get the seeds all up in my sauce. And just, oh, I got a seed in there, that's okay. Because we're doing this for fish, always gotta go with a little bit of Old Bay. So we'll top it off with some Old Bay. And then I'm just gonna take my whisk. I'm gonna whisk that all up. You can kind of see that sauce all coming together. I am going to put this into a squeezy bottle. So we got our comeback sauce in the squeezy bottle. I'm gonna put this off to the side. We're gonna use that once everything is done. And I'm going to move on to the coleslaw. So I got a big piece of red cabbage here. I'm only gonna cut this in half because we're making 3 sandwiches today. I don't need that much coleslaw. So I'm gonna take half of this red cabbage and I'm going to take half of a yellow onion. All right, so once I get all of the cabbage, the red cabbage, through the mandolin, I'm just gonna give it a little toss around and see it looks nice and fine and shred it up like this. And then I'm gonna take my grater and I'm gonna take my onion and I'm going to grate the onion so that it blends really well with the red cabbage. I'm gonna mix this in. I'm gonna set this off to the side for a second and we're going to de-seed a jalapeno. I'm gonna cut it right down the center and I'm going to de-seed it. So I'm just gonna take out the seeds with my hands. And we are just gonna julienne this jalapeno. Got a couple seeds on there, which is okay. And we're gonna throw that into the mix. We have a nice rainbow of colors going on. Mix around that jalapeno. We're gonna use just under a cup of mayo. 3 to 4 tablespoons of sour cream. 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. This kind of sweetens it up a little bit. 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar. I like the sweetness to go with my hot sandwich. 1/8 teaspoon of ground mustard seed. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. We do a pinch of white pepper. We'll start mixing this all up together. All right, and then you can see we have our nice, I'm crying from this onion here, but our nice coleslaw all set up. All right, now we're gonna make our hot oil, and this is what gives this sandwich the Nashville title, which means it's gonna be a hot oil after the fish is fried. It's gonna be dunked in this hot oil that's not only hot temperature-wise, but very spicy, and also has a little bit of sweetness into it. So the way that we're gonna do this is I'm going to take a cup of canola oil, some lard for flavor, and I'm just gonna take off a big hunk of this like that. Boom. Put that right in there. And I'm gonna go ahead and heat this up very quick. At this point, what we're going to do is add all of our flavor. 1/4 cup of cayenne pepper, 1 tablespoon of smoked paprika, another tablespoon of garlic powder. We're gonna add some chilies. And we're gonna add 2 to 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. And I'm just gonna take the whisk. I'm gonna whisk all this together. And it's gonna give us that nice dark red color that we wanna dip our fried fish into. Now I'm gonna put this back on low heat and I'm gonna put it off to the side until we're ready to dunk into it after we're done frying our fish. And here's one of the most important components of this entire thing. It is our slurry that we're going to be dunking the fish into before we fry it. We're gonna take a 1/2 cup of cornstarch, throw that in there. I always make such a mess with cornstarch. A 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, cayenne pepper, I would say, I don't know, a tablespoon, a little bit of smoked paprika, not gonna go crazy with that. Garlic powder for sure. We're gonna do 2/3 cups of buttermilk. This is 1/3. So we're going boom, boom. So I do water for feel, and I want you to watch this from the top camera here. All right, so I got the buttermilk in there. I got the water in there, and I'm just gonna kind of mix everything in together. And it should be a little bit thick, but it should be runny so that when we dunk the fish in there, it will run off. For reference, if you want to do equal parts buttermilk to water, that's completely fine, and just see what the consistency is. And you can see it's runny. It's running off of the whisk here. Good. All right, so we're gonna put this off to the side, and we're gonna make our seasoned flour, which goes in tandem with this. So our seasoned flour is gonna get the same ingredients, so we're gonna take some of the cayenne pepper here. We just don't wanna dilute down the slurry that we just made by dunking this in and out of flour, so we wanna keep the flavor up the whole time that we're doing this. We're gonna do our garlic powder, smoked paprika, so our seasoned flour is all set to go. In the meantime, for all of this, we're getting close to the time when we're gonna start frying. So make sure you go and you turn on your deep fryer or your oil that's gonna be on the stove where you're gonna fry your fish. All right, so at this point, our fish has been sitting for anywhere from 1 to 4 hours with the dry brine, with the sea salt on top of it. We have our slurry all put together, Duncan, our seasoned flour. So we don't ever really want to mess around with wet protein when we're about to grill or fry them. We want everything to kind of be bone dry. So I'm going to blot off all that excess salt and water. Cornstarch is what gives us the crisp. So we have our seasoned flour, our cornstarch, and our slurry. I'm gonna start just by completely coating the fish in the cornstarch. This is gonna make the fish feel very dry. And you can see I'm being very generous with this, but I'm not leaving a ton of powder just kind of sitting on there. So I'm gonna do that with all 3 fillets. And we have our slurry bath. I'm gonna put all 3 into the bath. I'm gonna completely cover them. We're gonna let these sit for about 15 minutes. After 15 minutes is up, I'm going to take out each fillet and I'm gonna put it directly into the seasoned flour. I'm gonna use my opposite hand. Put that off to the side. I'm gonna take the next one. Let any excess drip off. We don't wanna make a total pool here. That in there. Good. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and do it one more time just to make a really nice coating on this whole thing. So I'm going to put it back into the bath. I'm going to flip it. All right, now we have all 3 ready to go. I'm gonna let them sit for 10 minutes before I deep fry them. So I'll be right back and we'll be ready to fry. One last important ingredient, flaming hot Cheetos. They're okay. What we do here is we put them in the Fruit Ninja or food processor, whatever you got. They're pretty hot. You actually got a kick to them. After we fry our fish, we're gonna dust them very lightly with the flaming hot Cheetos before we assemble our sandwich. So I'll see you guys out at the fryer. All right, so we're back here at the fryer. I got some French fries going. We need them nice and crispy for us to have a really good meal. All right, we're gonna pop these fries out real quick. Check it out, check it out. I'm gonna keep a little bit of the oil on there. I'm gonna throw them in the bowl. Let this keep heating up. And then, come on. What's a fried fish sandwich without a little OB? I'm gonna sneak one. I don't know if you can hear that crunch. It's a good crunch. We are going to fry these up for about 10 minutes because I'm going to put the 3 fillets in at the same time. We're going to swirl them around and just drop them in. Swirl, drop. And swirl, drop. We make sure they're not stuck to each other or the bottom. Once they have enough of a coating on them, I'm going to pick them up. Oh, they are looking so good. I mean, can you see that? Woo! Give them a little flip. Whoop. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is what makes me loosen up on camera. I do not like speaking into a camera while I'm by myself. It's weird. It's totally weird. Oh yeah. Oh, would you look at that? And we are done. Take this beautiful piece of fish right here. Nice thick boy. We go right into the hot oil. Oh yeah. Gonna douse it around. I don't know if you can see that all the way up there. I hope you can. Gonna take a little comeback saw. Oh yeah, thick boy. Leave it right here. Slaw. Boom for everybody. Right on top. We take a nice little bit of Old Bay fries, throw it on the side. Peace out, guys.